Okay, so good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us for this April 2015 webinars. This is part of our spring series. You're very welcome here. And during this month, we have Clodagh Hughes with us. Clodagh, are you with us?
I'm with you, Bernard. How are you?
Hey, hello, Clodagh. So where are you based today?
I'm in Dublin.
I am in
Dublin
Dublin.
office.
Great. And
Sunny
I'm
Dublin. Sunny Dublin.
sunny Dublin, and I'm in well, sunny Galway. It's a bit wintry conditions here, but I'm in the Xenergie global office, and just taking a break as we actually have one of our systemic team coaching cohorts this week here for the next 3 days. So, Claude, I want to really thank you for joining us for this webinar here, and the purpose is basically to go through your own experience. My understanding is you're going to graduate in July, so you're just finishing this journey here. And I guess the purpose is to try to, for our listeners, to try to have an idea of how was this experience for you, and where did you come beforehand, and where are you now with it, in a nutshell. Huh? Um,
Okay.
So we will be spending about 45 minutes on this, just for the technology, as we have a few folks from different parts of the world. So again, good morning. I think we have one individual from the East Coast of the United States. The majority, for the majority of you, is good afternoon. So it's 12 o'clock, 12:06 GMT here in Dublin. Just a quick one. On the technology piece, if you're not familiar with this, just briefly on the logistics, you have a little chat function at the bottom here where you can then type in your message here, and I have a few of my colleagues in the background who can then pick this up. You can also post a question, which is roughly the same thing. You just type in your question, and there the majority of the people would use the chat function. I also just want to make sure that the majority of you can hear us. Obviously, Clodagh and myself being in two different cities, I think the technology is working well. If any of you have any technology issues, above your name, you will see a little mic, a little triangle, a question mark, and a little hand. So just click on the little hand and just raise it, and we will know if you want to ask a question, or if you have any issues, and then we'll pick it up. Huh? This will be interactive, so we will also unmute you as we go along. Yeah? Okay, back to you, Clodagh. I think that's any comments, any questions? No, I don't see any so far, so feel free to come in. Huh? So, Clodagh, again, you're very welcome into this. So tell us a little bit about yourself. You know, what is your background, and where do you come from?
Okay. So I run my own leadership strategy consultation, OD. Um, and I've run it for about 10 years now. My background is in the Republic of Ireland. In that role, over that time, I was head of marketing for a number of divisions within the group, and was responsible for managing and directing a number of very large strategic projects. And I'm interested to know whether any of our listeners does this resonate with you, but we would have always brought in large consultants and spent fortunes around what strategy we needed to implement in order to bring the company forward. And what used to amuse me, irrespective of what area I worked in, we said goodbye to the lovely consultants, having given a fortune. And the document they gave us always tended to just gather dust on a shelf.
Mm. Hello, Clodagh. I think I've just lost you here. Okay.
Um, 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 invariably it was and we were connected it. More with my lack of ability to have an impact around this stuff, and then so decided to set up my own company around the whole change piece, and particularly human dynamics around change. So that's my background.
Great. So and you kind of broke. Yeah, and then I've got you back there. I've kind of shut down the webcams as we had a little bit of internet slowing connections here. Can you hear me now? Yeah. Hello.
Yeah, I'm conscious. Can everyone else hear?
Yeah, absolutely. No,
everybody's here?
Yeah, everyone's here. We're not.
Can you hear me, Bernard?
Absolutely, I can hear you. That's fine. So, how long did you spend in the corporate world prior to setting up your consultancy then?
About, gosh, 12, 13 years.
Okay, 12, 13 years. And here. And so you can name it. I mean, your consultancy today, what is it you're focusing on at the moment?
So currently, the name of my consultancy is Motivate Consultancy Services.
Okay.
And I typically, the bulk of my work is with large blue chip companies, both in Dublin, Ireland, and the UK. And I do a lot of strategy facilitation, a lot of leadership training, one-to-one executive coaching, and quite a lot of team. I guess my real passion is around the whole team piece. So team coaching, team development, team collaboration, and all that kind of stuff. Okay.
All right. Team development. So you mentioned that your passion is around team, Clodagh, and what is it about team that makes it passionate for you then?
Well, all the usual stuff that, teams make so much more sense than individuals on their own. I guess what makes me passionate about it, I think effective teamwork is such a difficult thing to create.
Yeah.
Powerful, high-performing teams, when you get them into that high-performing mode, they are fantastic, but it can be a very long, torturous journey to get them there. And in my experience, most teams are quite dysfunctional.
Okay, in your experience, most teams are quite dysfunctional. Okay, we're going to come back to that. That's a very interesting comment here. So thank you for kind of giving us a little bit of a background, and I just wanted to set the context and the scene of where is it you're coming from. So obviously for our listeners, go ahead, Clodagh. Yeah. Hello, Clodagh. Clodagh, hello. Can you hear me? Yeah, okay, you're back online now. There was a bit of a break.
Hello?
Yeah, okay, you're back. I can hear you now.
Bernard,
yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, absolutely.
Bernard,
yeah.
Okay.
And Rory, if you want to come in.
We've lost your webcam as well, Bernard.
Yeah, well, I've shut down the webcam because of the internet. So you can shut down the webcam also, Clodagh. And here, and obviously just put on the audio and the slides. I've done this purposefully, Rory. Yeah? So, Clodagh, you've came into our systemic team coaching certificate and Xenergie. So let's start with that. Let's start with this journey. Why did you sign up for this program?
In essence, I think it was because I wanted, in everything I do, I don't like going in to just fix things. I like to make a sustainable change. And I was finding with my skill set that I was very often going into teams and, producing a plaster to put over a sore, but not really having the skills to dig deep and understand what was really going on with the team, and to help them to see what was really going on with the team. So I I just wanted to have a much deeper impact, and I wanted to feel that when I walked away, my intervention was actually bringing about sustainable change. So I was looking for something to broaden my skill base to give me that, I guess, that end result. I wanted to be able to go deeper, and I wanted to be able to affect real change and real impact. I guess I also wanted to make myself a better team coach, so I was interested to know how I could learn more skills around even holding myself better as a team coach. And I guess thirdly, I was really keen to meet like-minded people. I got a sense that this STC would only attract a certain kind, and I was right. It does. It definitely attracts a certain kind of person, and I was very keen to meet and interact with those kind of people.
Great, yeah. So what I'm hearing from you is and thank you for sharing that. There's a lot here. I'm hearing the word deeper impact. I'm hearing the word sustainability. I like the way you introduced this. I got fed up of producing plaster and not going deep enough. And it's really interesting that you're mentioning that now, Clodagh, because with the current cohort, as I mentioned at the beginning, I'm in Kinvara in County Galway in the west of Ireland. They are in Module 4 today, this week, which is, as you know, the Module 4, which is here actually. Sorry, that would have been here, the Module 3. So it's change leadership and coaching competencies. And this is about looking at the difference between adaptive and technical change. Technical change, a lot of people are familiar with that. This is about, the solution are well known. You need to go back to the past. You can benchmark yourself against others. Adaptive change, it's complex, it's chaotic, it's messy, and that's the way you can go a little bit deeper and make it sustainable. And there, so having said all of that, you also then had the opportunity to work with different like-minded people. I also like that word. And there, what characteristic you said would these people have then in your cohort? What characteristic did you find?
Good question. I think for me it is there is a real seriousness and a desire to be brave around this work.
Yeah.
This is not for the faint-hearted. It's for people who are, so they've done all the courses, they've done all the, I have a master's in marketing, I have a master's in business, I've done all the academic stuff, and I still felt I needed something more. And I think the people I met were all like that. They wanted to go deeper, they wanted to be braver, they wanted less, frankly, excuse my language, bullshit. They just wanted to cut to the core and really, really have an impact, rather than just play at this game, which I think a lot of us run in and out of organizations playing at this game. And I wanted more, and I think everyone I met really wanted more as well.
Wanted that, yeah. We call this in Xenergie the dancing bear, which means you go on stage, do an intervention, but you're directly colluding with the client. If you're looking at the coaching. So this is an ICF and an AC recognized course. So we use a lot the ICF framework. If some of our listeners would be familiar with this, so it's around the coaching presence and how can you be present with the system and with the client, and obviously the collective will make this a little bit more complex, as I mentioned beforehand, and here. But what's also coming up for me, listening to some of your comments, Clodagh, is the word transformation. as opposed to incremental change. That's what I mean by dancing beer. So let's go work on time management skills, or let's go work on influencing skills, and do a 1-day event or a 2-day event, and as you said at the beginning, you pay highly paid consultants to do that, and it sits on the shelf. So what is the word transformation? What does that represent for you?
Well, what's coming to mind is the triangle of, the iceberg. It's about really getting into the down below the invisible line of teams and individuals and yourself, actually, and really unpacking all of that stuff so that you actually can transform the stuff above.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And so for me, it was really just wanting, in all the work I do now, I don't sit above. I don't do any interventions at the top of the line, because it's just, I think, a waste of money for the client and a waste of time for me.
Great to hear that. Okay. Fantastic. And you mentioned at the beginning that you are passionate around teams. And that you do a lot of team development, and obviously some team coaching is also one-to-one and strategy facilitation. But you also mentioned, which is a strong statement, Clodagh, a lot of the teams that you work with or have worked with are dysfunctionals. Would you want to tell us a little bit more? What are you seeing today in the market with some of your clients or some of your network around the dysfunctionalities of teams?
Well, you see, by nature, I think as human beings, we are quite dysfunctional. And I think organizations are built around, keeping everybody in their place. It's around, so my philosophy is around how do you get the best out of people and teams and organizations, but actually all our systems, I think, in this world go completely against that. So it's how do we manage and process and keep people in their place, and I think teams with the best will in the world have great objectives and strategies and want to do great things, but by the organization they function in, the systems they function in, doesn't support that. So it's natural. I'm not saying it's bad to be dysfunctional. I just think it's not quite natural to be dysfunctional.
Yeah, no, I had that. Yeah, so it's
and the job we have as coaches is to try and get them to become more aware of that and how they're actually working against themselves in terms of performance. So I think that's what I mean by dysfunctional. Not bad or good, just it is what it is. But it doesn't get the results that teams could get if they could grapple with those issues.
Okay, Clodagh, we have a comment here from one of our listeners, so just bear with me. I'm just going to read this. It's quite long. So you have used the term midwife impact full transformation. This gives it a feminine touch and refers to the birthing as such. Does this imply that the coach is active in the delivery process in addition to the facilitating of transformation from one stage or situation, comfort zone 1, to the changes atmosphere of becoming alive? Midwife refers to individual, whereas you are dealing with a group of people. Are you relating to the midwife to the team or system seen as a whole? It's a very good question. You have used, okay, I'm just trying to come to grip with the technology here. No.
Did I use the word midwife?
I don't know. That listener picked it up, maybe.
I didn't use the word midwife, so just to be clear about that. But it's an interesting concept.
No, it's on the slide. It's on the slide. Learn to midwife impactful transformation. So it's on the slide that people are saying and here. Yeah, that's a very good title of the slides that we have. I can start with this. It's the process of this. It is a very much feminine principle, absolutely, in there. But the process that we use and this methodology is based around different frameworks. And one of the main frameworks that we're using is Theory U from Otto Scharmer from MIT, which is then taking the individuals and the collective down the U through the process of birthing, which is through the eye of the needle. Then through that, they can then let go of some of their mental belief systems and seeing things with fresh eyes and et cetera, so they can come out of the other side of the U and then go into prototyping mode and innovation. So that's one way to answer it. And again, we can also unmute you should you have any more questions. Do you want to add anything to that, Clodagh, or? I don't know if you can see the screen. It's Learn to Midwife Impactful Transformation.
I see that now, yeah.
That's what I was kind of referring to in here.
So I'm not sure I got the question. I think you've probably answered fine.
Great stuff. So I think I'd be curious to then, this is quite a long process in the sense that you can see it up here, folks. This is 220 hours, 9 working days. It's 12 to 18 months because we have a 6 months client case study at the end of this under supervision by faculty. And here, so would you like to take us through your own journey of these different modules, Clodagh? You mentioned at the beginning, this is not for the faint-hearted. So what did you mean by that?
So I think if I can share some of my experiences and the experience of our team, we as individuals and as a team, as a cohort, went through our own change journey on this course, and much more than I thought we would, or that I thought I was getting myself into. So I found it a very challenging process, and we had lots of bumps along the way, and learned a lot about ourselves as individuals and how we rated with each other as a team, just in its own self, as a cohort in its own self. So we were almost mirroring the theory in a funny kind of way. So that was fascinating from my perspective. In terms of how what am I doing it with my team? Would it be interesting to look at my team and how I'm working through these different modules with them? What exactly do you ask, Bernard?
Absolutely, your own experience. So you've kind of answered this.
So my own experience is that this is an intervention that requires a lot of trust between you and the team you're working with. So one of the challenges I had was that we had to do a project to qualify, and I don't think you can find a project. I think a project has to come to you. So that can be challenging. In that not.
So Clodagh, we're kind of losing you. Clodagh, can you hear me?
For the journey, and there are many tools for the journey, and there are many teams that want you to this because it's very challenging for them, and it can be quite a lot of teams.
Hello, Clodagh. Yeah. So I kind of lost you here. Again, it's you can shut down your webcam because maybe we had too much broadband here. Okay, I got you back now. So can you just repeat your last phrase? That's what I lost, yeah.
So the client I am working with through this project is a company called Social Entrepreneur Ireland.
Okay.
They are a organisation that funds entrepreneurs. So I'm actually on the board of the organisation, but prior to that was a consultant with them. So I've done a lot of work with this team. So we go back a long way, which is great. So the first session was very much really stating clearly what the journey was going to look like and putting it up to them as to whether they were up for it or not. So that contracting piece is really, really important. So I'm on my fourth session now. So the first session was very much around contracting. I mean, is it helpful to go through every session, Bernard? Or
no, you don't need to. I think where what I'm really interesting now is, and thank you for sharing that, by the way. I'm really, because so you mentioned it's a challenging process. It's not for the faint-hearted. You went a little bit through, more personal development than you had thought you would after joining this course. But what has made the difference because you did some team working, consultancy services prior to this course. What has really made the difference now as you're working with this current client and other clients that you're working with? What difference do you see as a team coach?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're breaking up sometimes.
Bernard, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yeah, but go ahead. Yeah.
Hello, Bernard.
Yeah, we can hear you. Clodagh, go ahead.
Okay. So, well, one of the key differences with this team I'm working with, they've just gone through a big strategic review, and we would have worked through with them, how to break down the strategy into actionable chunks and, what it meant for the team working. But what was so interesting was that was, very much the top end of the triangle. And having done this course, I was able to bring them down to below the triangle, which meant they had much more an opportunity or a chance of success at achieving their strategic goals. So we found that there was through working with them and interviewing stakeholders, there was a lot of systemic stuff going on within the culture of the team that was making it very difficult for them to achieve their business objectives. So I just finished a session last week with them, we presented what's known as a cultural gridlock. And if those who do the course will know what it means, but what's getting in the way of them achieving the goals they've set for themselves. And it was fascinating to see that actually the dynamic within the team was that they were just too nice to each other. So they had a sense, their mindset was, because we're social entrepreneurs, we have to be good and kind and always very thoughtful towards each other. And they never embraced conflict. They didn't have challenging conversations. And they skirted around issues because it was just too challenging for them. So when we were able to out that kind of stuff and that kind of dynamic, it was a huge eye-opener for them. And then we did some work around how they can have brave conversations in order to make sure that the strategy actually has an impact. So again, on the face of it, you could look at the team and say, aren't they fantastic? They've got great strategic goals. Everyone's clear on roles and responsibilities. The structures are all in place. But it was the invisible stuff that we managed to unearth through this process that once they became aware of, they were much more able to deal with it. Now, interestingly, they're going through a really rough time at the moment on the back of it. So it's upscuttled them and they're challenged with it. But the other key learning I have with this course is that as a coach, you need to be very brave. So in the past, I would have potentially ran a mile away from a team that was going off skew or, in deep trouble. But now I'm well able to hold my ground and recognize that this is part of the journey and that the real tension is actually very positive. And how you hold yourself in that tension is incredibly important.
Absolutely.
So that was a real, and how you learn to challenge the team and push them out of their comfort zone. When you think they're ready, it's not that you just go in and cause chaos, but you need to be very tuned into when they might be ready. But so that was a big learning. Now, some of the frustrations.
Go ahead.
Because this needs to be authentic and people need to know exactly what was what. The structure, I think we, as a team, we got very frustrated with sometimes the lack of structure and process around just the Xenergie offering. And I know that was very much part of your plan of action. And we were 3 shapers and a team worker, so I like things being organized and I like having my slides up and that used to drive me nuts. But interestingly, Bernard, I've just started another master's in a large, very highly respected university in Dublin.
Yeah.
And I think it's been interesting. I've finished 2 modules, and while I have all the structure and all the professionalism and all the material, they are not pushing me at all in terms of intellectual understanding or
Yeah.
practical tools. So it's just very interesting that you're a small little entity out in Galway, but actually I think for me what I've learned is that this is cutting edge stuff that you're doing.
Thank
It's
you.
really cutting edge.
Yeah.
And because it's cutting edge, it's going to be bumpy and it's going to be complex and it's going to be messy. But I certainly learned more than I ever did from any kind of formal courses that I've done and that I am currently doing. So no, I didn't always feel that good along the way, but that's where I am now.
Thank you for sharing that. And I feel you're speaking from a deep place, Clodagh. I haven't seen you for about 3-4 months, but I can almost feel a shift, and it's touching what you're saying. And now it also, what resonates with me is you used the word at the beginning of this conversation. Let me take back my notes. You used the word deep a few times, a deeper impact, a deeper meaning. And it's really coming out now. And there. Let me ask you this question. And I also am conscious there's one or two questions.
Sorry,
Yeah, I've seen it. There's one or two questions coming from the learners. We'll come back to that, David. Yeah. Let me, Clodagh, if you were to take, one or two key takeaways. At the moment, we're recruiting another cohort for the autumn of 2015. It will start. It's a blended learning approach. So it will start this summer. And so sometimes we have a lot of potential clients who are saying, well, listen, I know it all. I've learned it all. I've had ex-masters like yourself. I've been in OD consultancy for 15 years. What is it do I need to learn? What would you say to those people, Clodagh?
I'd say that much of what we've learned in those masters and, in the work we've done for 10 years, I would wonder how fit for purpose it is in this new world. And I think what this course does is it makes you more fit for purpose in what is a very different world, to the one I think that we have all, the theories and the models. And, as a practitioner, I think you have to be in a very good place to do this work. And I think this course makes you, face yourself and go on a journey that is, really, really scary but empowering. So on balance, I'd say I have never done anything like this before, never. And it's not perfect, but almost its imperfection is what I now feel has been so valuable. Because teams aren't perfect and organizations aren't perfect.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And I guess for me, it's the recognition around that stuff and going deeper in a way I would never have gone as deep before. And as I said, my interaction with this large university I'm doing now, I'm thinking this stuff is useful, but the stuff I've done with Xenergie is really, for the right team, it can take them to a fantastic place.
To a different place.
And even I found the skills that you learn, even if a team doesn't want to go to that place, and many don't, and in fact it's not advisable for many to go to that place. For some of them it's just not right,
Yeah, well, because they're not ready. Yeah.
They're not ready, or they don't. It's just opening a can of worms that they can't put back together again, or they don't, but I've been able to use the skills I've learned and the confidence I've gained in so many other team interventions as well, so
fantastic.
It's been really hugely helpful.
I'm showing
my confidence as a coach has grown hugely.
And I can sense it. That's why also I wanted to share with you. Thank you for that, Clodagh. Just showing a few pictures, folks. I'm conscious of also the time here, but just a few. We use, because we're based in the west of Ireland, and not all modules are done in the west. Some of them are done in London. With the current cohort, we will go to Maastricht this summer and Holland. And there, but we use nature a lot as a laboratory for this. We use also team coaching sessions. I think this is one of your cohort, Clodagh. The right-hand picture here, you can see yourself drumming. We use a lot of experiential learning, action learning, so you experience team working within your cohort, and we then obviously debrief experiences and then learn from that in there. Now, I'm just going to pause right now and here and just check. I know it's flashing. We have questions and people coming in there. So let me then open this. We have another question. We have a question from Alan. Which is here. Alan, I'm going to unmute you now so make this more interactive. Hello, Alan, you are unmuted. Can you hear me? This is Alan Katz, I think, from the UK. No, from Israel. Sorry, Alan? No, he doesn't want to. Hello, Alan? You are unmuted. You can go live now. Okay, Alan, no, can't hear you. Hello? Hello, Alan, can you hear us? No, so maybe he didn't configure his in there. Sorry, seems to be a technical problem. Okay, so let me read this question. You keep on referring to the right team. How do you assess and decide if the team and its individual members are the right team? For example, a workable team ready for transformational. Thank you. Okay, Clodagh, I think that was in relation to is a team ready or not for transformation in terms of the level of change.
I think the question was, how do you assess the right team?
How do you assess the right team? Yeah. How do you assess and decide if the team?
The first thing I assess is whether the CEO or the team leader is up for it. Because if he or she isn't, I'm really up for it. So that's why the contracting stage is so important, and you describe the process. So for example, I turned away a team because they weren't ready for it. They thought they wanted it, but they didn't.
Okay.
And they just wouldn't have been able for it. So, and it's a sense you get. It's whether you think people are up for the journey, and you know that by being really transparent at the outset that this is not easy. There's huge payoffs, but this is what it looks like. And I'll tell you, if the CEO or the team leader isn't up for it, forget it.
Absolutely, Clodagh. And what's coming up for me, I mean, I know, how long is a piece of thread? How do you assess a team? But that is part of the team coach competency in terms of assessing and sensing. It's all about sensing the level of resistance you would have at an individual level within the team members, which then obviously is bigger than the whole at that level, and then you will have as your we throw in a few tools. One of them I mentioned is Theory U. The other one we use the Belbin methodology. We use adaptive change, immunity to change, coaching model, etc., which will then give you basically an assessment of where this team is ready to go. And what we usually say, and actually we kind of have an interesting case study recently where the weakest link of a team is actually what is going to, it's going to give you an idea of how fast the team is going to learn and how fast the team is going to perform. And that, with a recent client, actually kind of created a lot of tension, as you mentioned, Clodagh, because they started thinking, well, who is the weakest link within the team? And there, but I'm not going to go down that. But it was quite interesting to see. So the assessment is an ongoing process. This is a journey. Yeah. It's a one-off. Yeah.
I was just going to say that, Bernard. I'm not sure you ever can tell from the outset, from the get-go, whether they're up for it or not. I think it's a journey.
Yeah.
And some teams get to the end, the one that I'm working with in Social Entrepreneur, they're absolutely getting to the end. But I suspect others won't get to the end, or they'll choose to do less demanding pieces of it, and they'll get something out of that. But
Yes.
so I think it's very much a test and see as you go, because people think they're up for things until they get into them.
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Um. So I'm conscious of time.
Hi Bernard, Alan just had a comment there as well on that. Alan just has a comment on that as well, Bernard.
Yeah, I think. Well, can you read it to us then? What's the comment, David?
Yep, so he agrees exactly. I too have turned away organizations or teams or individuals for the same reason, not ready for it.
Okay, great stuff.
Just come back in with another question. What would you leave the team with? Are they able to take these skills further and do it on their own?
Bernard, I'll let you answer that one.
Yeah, I mean, this is a journey. That's why, the way we tend to work. Obviously, at Xenergie, we have two, three parts of our business. We have the systemic team coaching certificate training with different learners across the world, and we have also our direct consultancy piece. So from that perspective, we only work with the minimum of 9 months with the team. So are they able to take these skills further? They are, because if you want to do the full, I mentioned one of our pillar framework is the Theory U. The Theory U is a minimum of 2 years. So 1 year going down, 1 year going up, basically through the eye of the needle. So absolutely. And that what is leading to innovation afterwards. And here, no, yeah, okay, Alan, yeah, thank you. So we're now coming to an end of this, and so we will kind of also open up if there's any other questions in here. But to recap, this is our contact details. You can just contact me directly on this number. We are currently recruiting for a new cohort that will start with blended learning this summer, and the face-to-face team sessions. So module 2, which is the Belbin certification, module 3, which is basically team performance coaching, and August and September timeframe and here. So we will then open this to any other comments, any questions that the audience would have, since Clodagh is here. So I have Sean, who's mentioning communication and planning issues and role assignment. In other words, because that's an interesting one. So what are some of the issues I have are around planning. So let me ask you this one, Clodagh. How do you you mentioned contracting is relatively important for you. So what are some of the the contracting or planning issues that you've learned from this program that you were able to bring back into your consultancy practice today?
Well, I think so. I've always been pretty hot on contracting because I think it's so critical. So I'm not sure I learned anything particularly about that process. But it was more what's in the process, I think, that's interesting for systemic team coaching. So I would have, before I do any team intervention on systemic team coaching, I would be absolutely clear. This is what it looks like. This is the proposed outcome. This is what you might find demanding. So there's absolute clarity in what they're buying into. And that for me is the acid test, and even then they won't be clear because, this stuff is quite heavy. But just that you say it warts and all, because I just think particularly because you're bringing them on a challenging journey down the U curve, you need to be very upfront about what that means for them as individuals and as for a team.
Okay. Yeah, and I'm assuming this is what Sean meant by his question, that that the issues and opportunities that he faced were around communication and planning, and role assignment. Hopefully we've answered that question, Sean. It's mostly around contracting. That's the way I would understand it. If not, please raise your hand, and again, we can unmute you. All right. Okay, so thank you for that. I'm just going down the other comments here. Clodagh, more knowledge. Yes, Clodagh, go ahead. You kind of broke up, Clodagh. I think everything. Hello, can you hear me now? Okay. Clodagh, I think we have a little bit of an internet, but we're coming to an end. Oh, you're back on now. Okay. We're coming to an end of this. So if there's any more other questions, folks, I think we had another comment from a learner. This is being recorded. So yes, we will email it back to you with the link, as we usually do. And we'll be in touch also if you have any other questions. So folks, thank you very much for coming into this. More importantly, Clodagh, thank you for sharing your own experience. And listen, you have a lovely, lovely day in sunny Dublin, and we'll keep in touch. Thank you, folks. Thank you, Clodagh. Enjoy your day. Bye-bye.